Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you. Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to the last hour on the Morning Crossfire for today. It's Health Thursday on the Crossfire. And yes, we are taking the conversation a notch higher. Wherever you are, you're most welcome. You're welcome to join the conversation. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also drop your comments there. This morning, we want to talk about cervical cancer. That is what we want to talk about this morning. January is the awareness month for cervical cancer. And I have my guest here seated with me, consultant oncologist. He's a regular on the show, and it's always a pleasure to have him in the studio. He's a very busy man, by the way. Anytime I have the chance to speak with him and he could come through, I'm always excited. Dr. Ajay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lagos.
How are you doing?
Nigeria.
You can adjust that your mic too.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Glad to be back.
It's good to have you here. Happy New Year. We've not.
Yes,
this is the first time we're seeing this year.
Happy New Year too.
Mm-hmm. How is work?
We're pushing it. Work's heavy. Well, thank God, we're able to do the little we can, and we're hoping to further push back the issues of cancer in our locality.
I know you're doing a lot in that regard. You're now very active on social media. I'm wondering when Dr. Ajay to retire, actually, social media video.
But the reality is there's a lot of crowd in the social media space.
Yeah.
And the whole thrust of what we're doing is information. The more people are informed, the better we're positioned to combat cancer.
Indeed. Lagos, you can. I know that you've got great. I know you have plenty questions. Not great now. Plenty questions as regards cervical cancer. You're most welcome to start sending them in now via our WhatsApp portal. The WhatsApp number is 0809 597 5805. That is 0809 597 5805. When the time comes, I would come through, to your questions to come and get them. You can also drop your questions on our live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3. Dr. Eben Adepitan is here with us this morning, and it's always a pleasure to have him. It's an opportunity that you should take advantage of to get the answers that you need. Remember, I always say this: we don't diagnose on Health Thursday. We only educate. We create awareness. Dr. Ajay, cervical cancer. What are we talking about?
Okay, so cervical cancer is the most common gynecological cancer in women, and the second most common cancer in women. That's after breast. And the sad thing about it is the fact that in its incidence and its mortality, the figures are very high. And the woman may have the disease without actually knowing, because the way with which it's positioned deep into the genitals of the lady. So when these masses begin to grow, the woman may not know, if she's not the kind of person who goes for regular checks and regular yearly checks. So by the time she's beginning to have symptoms, it's a little late, and the race now starts to control the disease.
Let's talk about the prevalence. How prevalent is the cervical cancer in Nigeria?
It's quite prevalent. You have 2 out of 10 women may come down with cervical cancer. The incidence is about 26.2 thousand in 100,000 women. So it's that high, and it's higher than all other Western countries. That is how bad it is.
How? Why?
Because there's several issues. Now we have issues of low education. That's why I'm happy to always come around. We'll have opportunity to sensitize and create awareness about this disease. Then there's issues of the apathy to hospitals. Nigerians rather go to
it's
church
not my portion.
or the mosque, or it's not my portion syndrome, than having to go for a regular medical checkup in a hospital. Then there's also the issue of poverty and poor education. With poverty and poor education, which are also huge risk factors. The girl child is always the one at the receiving end of a stick. She has to do anything or do something to make sure that she gets by. And the other gender, who are the predators, who take advantage of a girl child and even sometimes subject them to some sexual obligations that in order for the girl child to meet, her desires. And social habits, or smoking and alcohol consumption that are part of the risk factors. And of course, this disease particularly rides on the human habit, where you have multiple sexual partners and your partners with multiple sexual partners. So this is, it makes the disease very, very difficult, to control because of all of these factors, particularly in a low and medium income country like Nigeria, and maybe government involvement. Government needs to be involved in having to, control this disease by making room for greater room for education and awareness. They have to open up vaccination channels, for the girl child, so that we can combat this disease.
Well, let's talk about the vaccination. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so there's an initiative, and I think from the when Jonathan was in government, there was an initiative of having to be introducing the vaccines, to the girl child and also to the male child too. So there is an opportunity for vaccination between the ages of 9 to 12. All right, for the girl child, and then there's also opportunity for screening. So there's
from age 9 to what now?
9 to 12.
To 12.
Yes,
for the girl child.
For the girl child.
Okay,
right. And there's this Cervical vaccine and there's a Gardasil vaccine. So these vaccines are given at the start, 4 months, 6 months, to the girl child, and it prevents because part of the risk factors we have is early coital exposure.
Okay.
So before that child gets exposed to coital engagement, either willingly or forced, that vaccine prevents, that virus, from multiplying and becoming a big issue for the child. So there's a role of vaccination in this, and of course we know that there's that apathy and there are the myths surrounding the cervical cancer vaccine, because some people feel that it prevents infertility for the girl child, which is not true. Yes, there might be some errors, with vaccines, but this is prevention, and this helps in controlling the disease. And I give this analogy when I have the opportunity to. A new government comes into Lagos State, for example, having met with all the stakeholders, and he knows that he's running for 8 years. He introduces the vaccine to every government institution, government school in Lagos State, with the cooperation of the PTA and the school and all the stakeholders. Those children are vaccinated from GS1. By the time his tenure is done, after 4 years, right, those children are in year 4. By another 4 years, when he runs another term. So he's been in office for 8 years. Those kids would have been either in their final year or mid-university. His successor comes in and runs that program. Now you discover that by the time you have 3 governors running running
consistently running that program,
and you have in 24 months that generation would have been rid of cervical cancer. But so it takes a lot of government commitment, it takes a lot of individual and stakeholders participation to make sure that this scourge is stamped out.
I want to quickly track back to the ages 9 to 12 vaccination age range. And you made mention of early coital exposure. That means, to our audience who are listening, sexual intercourse. What happens if a girl is now exposed to sexual intercourse? Is it too late?
Okay, so if a girl is not exposed to sexual intercourse, and maybe someone's listening to me, so screening for that girl will now start by the age of 21. 21 to about 65 years old. So the girl could do what we call a pap smear every 3 years. Pap smear is what is available in most of our public primary health care installations all across the country, particularly in Lagos. And they could also do a DNA HPV testing, which is done every 5 years. So between the age of 21 to the age of 65, screening can be done. You can do screening every 3 years. You can do screening every 5 years.
Vaccine cannot work anymore at that time.
Okay.
Once you miss the 12 years.
Once you miss the 12 years and you are not sexually exposed, you can still be vaccinated.
Okay.
So, but research does not confer any added advantage if a person has been sexually exposed and now taking vaccines. Right?
Indeed. Now, Dr. Ajay, I want to talk about something that I'm sure quite a number of people are thinking right now, which is whether it's hereditary or not. Is it?
Okay, so it could run in families, but it may not necessarily be hereditary.
Okay.
But there are rare cases where it could follow some germline mutations, and that could run in families. So that could be hereditary.
Okay.
So if I have a mother who runs a beer parlor, all right, and I grew up in that environment of working with her in a beer parlor, and you know the things that go around in a beer parlor. Probably there's a brothel close by, and there are men who come and visit the brothel. So it's possible that my mom, who may be engaged in the beer parlor with my sisters, could have the disease because of the men who patronize that. Now, because of the environment where I find myself, it could run in a family from a generation to another.
Because of the environment.
Because of the environment. So it's an environmental factor. Or I work or I live in a slum, or I live close to a brothel in a poor environment, right? And I know that my mom got by visiting the brothel. And that's how she probably raised me. Now, that could be my own reality, so that if I know that I'm probably going to make life, I'm going to follow that trend. Now, that could run in a family, but not necessarily being genetic, right? But there are situations where, because of some line mutations that could occur in some germlines, that it could occur in successive families because of that mutation. But I must say that is rare, very, very rare. It's not common.
We're going to come to early warning signs, even though you said that sometimes it doesn't show. But before we get to early warning signs part, I'm really intrigued by the scenario you painted about, beer parlor, the men. How can it be transmitted, really?
Okay, so there's this case I had, maybe one or two cases I had, who the client's mom lived with her mom in a beer parlor setting, and she died in her early 30s, right? Okay, so this client now comes down with this disease. She apparently grew up with grandma in the same beer parlor with men, and she had a lot of, permit me use this word, aristos who came in, right? And she came down with the disease. Now, by the time we took her history, her family history, her social history, we found out that the environment wherein she lived, right? Now, remember that one of the risk factors is multiple sexual partners and partners with multiple sexual partners. So I'm not just exposed to one person. The person I'm exposed to probably has
other
dozens
people
of other
that
people
they are exposed to.
that they are exposed to, and it fans out like that. So each time I'm exposed to this person, who's probably exposed to 4 or 5 other casual people who he has casual sex with. Now my risk increases, and I discover that I'm not just sleeping with this one person, I'm sleeping with tons of other persons who this person is sleeping with, who he may have taken this virus from, and now it gets me infected, because it's a viral illness, basically contacted through sexual exposure. So we should know that.
Okay. Lagos, if you're just joining us, you're most welcome. It's Health Thursday here, and we're talking cervical cancer. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can be a part of the show this morning, and we'll welcome your questions. I can see some questions dropping already. I'll start taking them right after I drop my next question, and Dr. Jay is able to answer that, then I'll go to the messages. By the way, if you're listening to Dr. Ajay for the very first time, he is a consultant oncologist, Dr. Eben Adepitan. Ajay, Dr. Ajay, let's talk about early warning signs. You said that this could be within the woman for a long time without even knowing.
Yeah.
But aren't there any early warning signs?
So the first sign is an asymptomatic presentation. So we do have patients who go for regular medical checks, and they discover the family physician discovers that there is a growth in the cervix, and they go further to investigate, and they find out that probably there's a malignancy. At those stages, that's the best time for cure. So the earliest warning sign is no presentation at all. But when you now begin to have symptoms, the client begins to have symptoms, then there's bleeding, the issue of bleeding, intermenstrual bleeding. Outside of her bleeding window, the woman just spots or bleeds. Usually the most common presentation with those kind of bleeding is post-coital bleeding. So after having some fun with the partner or the husband, she discovers she's bleeding. And it's so simple. These masses within the cervix are soft jelly-like masses. So with the thrust in a coital engagement, it affects them and they bleed. So when those bleeding occurs, it might be mild bleeding or it might be bleeding over a period of time, but usually not a kind of bleeding that could raise an alarm, other than the fact that I'm outside of my period, so I'm bleeding, or I'm crossed the menopause line and I'm bleeding. Yeah. So that's a bleeding sign. The other sign is the fact that there is a discharge, watery discharge, which gradually begins to get smelly. So the discharge is foul odor, smelling discharge. At that point, those masses, those swellings there are beginning to get infected. So that is the point where most people will now come to the hospital. At least at that point, that disease is probably getting to a stage 2B, in the staging system. Then, you can now have other advanced signs of leg swelling, abdominal swelling, headaches, yellowness of the eye, yellowness of the urine, low back pain, and all the other symptoms, which are usually symptoms of advanced disease.
Yes, indeed. Lagos, let's begin to take your reactions right now, right? Let's begin to do that. I'm going to take this one here. It's on Facebook. Akiade Timothy Olaoluwa said, what is the significance of HPV vaccine that I heard an adult woman can receive? If it is related, when can it be received? Who can receive it? Where can it be received? Does it help with prevention of cervical cancer? Okay. I think you've answered majority of this, but there's a part that I would love you to answer. Which as to where?
Okay. So at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, there's there's Cervix vaccination available in Louth, right? And it's at a cost. But I know that most state hospitals, if you go to their public health arm or their gynae and O&G section, there is that vaccine that is available. And there are private hospitals who also give the vaccine. So it's available. It's not rare. It's something you can walk up to and receive. But it's important for us to stress that it's best given and its protection is at 100% when it's given before sexual exposure.
Before sexual exposure.
Yeah.
Now, I want to stay on that before the break. Is it just given once?
So is a 3 course. Okay. So there's the first contact, the 4 weeks, and there's a 6 months. However, with improve and research and so that it can encourage people to take the vaccine, there's a single shot vaccine also. Okay. That you can just go and have a single shot, of a vaccine.
And it doesn't matter once the girl is between 9 and 12, they can take it.
Yeah, they can take it.
And also, if an adult is not really exposed sexually, they can also take it.
They can take it if it's not exposed sexually.
And the person has to be very sure that they're not exposed.
Yes.
It's just virtually. It's sexually. Now, let's move on very quickly. You have talked about detection. Let's talk about treatment.
Okay.
Do we have time? No, we don't have time for treatment. We do not have time for. We'll come back. We'll come back after the break to talk about treatment, which is what really, really interests me. I will take this message instead. Let me take this message instead. Adegoke from Lekki says, good morning. My mind has been wondering, can the doctor please tell us where this particular disease or ailment emanated from? Is it that the primary carrier had sexual intercourse with an animal? He's trying to find out how did this start.
Well,
because he said his mind is wandering. Yeah.
Okay, so I wouldn't know where the primary carrier is, but as what we know that viral illnesses are around and people, pick up these illnesses. But with the cervix that we're talking about, it's
I'm sorry to butt in. We need to head out now for a quick break.
Okay,
Lagos will be back.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Start your day and have a good time. Where you need to have the break time. If not tea, Papa Garita. Kivo.
Paying for insurance is like carrying an umbrella, just in case it rains. But what if it doesn't? With regular insurance, you get nothing if you make no claim. With Nor Takaful Insurance, you might just get cash back for the next day.
There's a Nor way to do ethical insurance. Nor Takaful Insurance, where you win by claims which are paid promptly or win by profit sharing. Visit nortakaful.ng or download the Ra app to get started. Nor Takaful, your win-win partner.
There's so much more to enjoy when you fly in Emirates Economy. More legroom, delicious regionally inspired meals, complimentary free-flowing drinks, and the latest movies, TV shows, music, and live sport. Some of the best entertainment in the skies. And our family services make your journey simple and fun. Plan your next trip and start the holiday early in Emirates Economy. Fly Emirates, fly better.
Every meal I cook must taste just right. Rich, delicious, full of love.
We hear you. Your Maggie Star in double cubes. Double the flavor, double the convenience. The same trusted taste you love. Maggie Star Double Cubes. Made from fermented soya and other selected ingredients for that deep flavor and quality that only Maggie brings to your dishes.
Absolutely delicious.
Get Maggie Double Cubes today. Me and Maggie, so good together.
Everybody confirm I'm the correct remedy for headache. Medic 55 now.
My name na Odunlade Adekola and I be better hustler. From morning till night, na back to back. Work, traffic, noise. Sometimes it be like say your head go bust. Once that headache show, I go straight for Medic 55. With Medic 55, I did medic my headache for headache.
Use Medic 55.
If your body no tranga after 3 days, go see your doctor.
No matter where you are, city or out of town, you deserve a great reliable connection. The Airtel 5G Smart Connect not only delivers that, but also gives you unlimited data to stream, download, and browse in your home or office. It also comes with wider coverage and super fast speed, all for just 25,000 Naira. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to start enjoying unlimited data now. Airtel.
Here you go, dear.
Mom, you didn't add milk.
No need to. Taste it and see why.
Wow, but how?
Is it milky?
Yes.
Is it creamy?
Yes.
That's Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy for you. It's so milky. I don't need to add more milk.
I love it, Mommy.
Give your kids Milo 3-in-1, milky and creamy. It's truly milky. It contains calcium to help your champ win every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo. We bring to you the conversations that matters.
Serap has sued governors of the 36 states and the minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
The Nigeria needs this administration to treat them better than the last administration did.
The responsibility of any government around the world is to secure lives and property first.
It is a principle of fair and equitable treatment.
And most of these properties that are developing, they are empty.
You're going to just sit down here and watch all 36 governors become APC members?
People who are fanatics don't see anything wrong with people who they support.
If you stand for the truth, this country will move forward. But we refuse.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Conversation never stops. Let's talk.
Welcome back, Lagos, to Health Thursday here on the Morning Crossfire. I am Sheriff Quadry, and I have with me, sitting in the studio, enlightening us, educating us. Dr. Eben Adepitan Ajay is here with us this morning, and we've been having this conversation about cervical cancer. If you've got questions for him, feel free. Drop your questions on our live stream on Facebook. Search for Nigeria Info 99.3 on Facebook and on YouTube. You'll be able to locate us there and drop your comments there so we can come and take them. Let's go take this comment right here on WhatsApp. WhatsApp number, by the way, is 0809 597 5805, and I can take calls right now as well. The calling number for the male callers is 0201 277 0993. That is 0201 277 0993. Female only line is 0201 465 7190. Dr. Ajay, listen to this comment here. This person says, I am presently managing a tumor situation located in my both lungs. From my consultations at the hospital, I was told there is a chance I won't have to go through surgery, but would have to be advised on the best treatments to administer. Doctor, my question is this. Typically, what is the cost like to treat lung tumors? Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, so your question is broad-based, and we may not be able to put a cost to it because the approaches of treatment or the approach to treatment differs depending on what we find. But I'll just say broadly, there is a role for surgery, right? We could do that, a lobectomy on whichever lobe that the masses are located. There is a role for radiotherapy, radiochemotherapy, which I have in MedServ Youth Cancer Center. And there's also a role for chemotherapy. And all of these have their associated costs. So we may not be able to put a cost to it because of the different treatment approaches that this person may have. And the chemotherapy will be in 6 sessions. So, it depends. So if the cost is maybe X, so it's going to be X times 6 courses. The radio cost maybe about 2.5 million if you're going to have chemo radiation. Then the surgery, of course, then that is going to be an added cost. So it depends on, we do not, it's not a situation of one cap fits all. It's, your cost is going to be individualized, depending on what the oncologist sees and sees safe for you and fit for you for treatment.
Indeed. So I've got a question here, interesting one. It says, can condoms prevent risk of the HPV?
Okay, so there's a twist to this HPV infection. HPV can occur genitally and it can occur orally. So with those who have oral sex, right, and your partner has florid HPV infection in the genitals, so you can take that infection from the genital into the oral space. So, and when you have another oral sex session with another partner, you can transfer it from the oral space into the genital space. Okay, so to answer your question directly, yes, to an extent, condom can be a source of prevention, but we all know that condoms rupture sometimes. All right. Yes. And that could be a portal. But I think I should say here that 90% of HPV infection clears within the first 5 years.
Okay.
Right. And out of the 90%, they could progress to what we call a pre-malignant stage 1, which is called the CIN stage 1. Okay. Now, 5% of those HPV infections, now depending on the degree of risk and exposure of the patient, could progress to an invasive disease. So out of the 5% could progress to CIN 2 and 3, which are getting closer to the invasive disease. And the remaining percentage can get into full-blown disease, right, within the next 5 to 30 years. also depending on the risk of a person. So it's not that, okay, there is one session of unprotected sex, then person comes down with HPV infection or comes down with cervical cancer.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
because with good immunity. So I should also now mention that any immunosuppressive state, HIV or prolonged use of steroids, that reduces the immunity of a person, could make them susceptible to the to cervical cancer. So if someone has a reduced, an occasion of a reduced immunity, so the body may not be able to marshal its soldiers to clear that infection from the system, and will now progress to the pre-malignant stage 1, 2, 3, then the invasive stage.
Indeed. Let's take a few calls. Calls have been ringing, and I've got loads of messages, so we're going to start with the calls right away. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I wanted to ask about, I heard the doctor say the vaccine is not effective after you have been introduced to sex. I have had the test done at a point, I think it's a pap smear, and the doctor said there was something, they did some treatment, cryotherapy, some sort of freezing and whatever. After that, I then took the vaccine. So my question now is, does it mean that the vaccine wouldn't have been effective for me because I did that after I had children?
Okay, so there are scenario plays. So if your partner is the only partner that you've been having your coital exposure with, and you have had that same exposure and you have been committed to that same partner, yes, your risk is low. However, research has shown us that those who have had repeated coital exposure with several partners who now take the vaccine does not give them any added protection against the cancer. And it's so simple. Now, what has been going on for over 5, 10, 15 years, and the cell lines have gradually been mutated over time. Now, it's okay, someone going in a long distance and somebody's just jumping in, you may not be able to catch up with the disease process, right? So it does not give any added advantage. But you could look at it in a psychological standpoint. The fact that the person has had, this particular individual has had some form of treatment, as she has mentioned, and she's now staying in line, and she now has the vaccine.
All right. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you for calling. Nigeria Info, good morning. Okay, let's take this one here. Morning to you.
Hello, Mr. Sheriff. Good morning to you and the doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to say thank you because he has changed some kind of a misconception initially. I used to have this misconstrued opinion that when you have a partner, because some doctors have come on air to say when you have one sex partner, devoid other partners, you don't have another sex partner, only your husband, and your husband doesn't have somebody else, and you both make love regularly, and you can still contact the HPV virus. Doctor, is this an hypothesis or a thesis?
Okay, so if you okay, let me use this illustration. You married as virgins, the two of you, all right,
okay,
with no prior exposure on either side, and you've been true to each other. There's no way you have it now.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Devoid of past sex history, Abi?
No, he said if you marry yourselves as virgins, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But if either partner had past health sexual history, outside the current partner, then that could be a source of worry.
There's a risk.
There's a risk already, because there is a partner he's had other sexual partners and now settles down with this partner. Either partners who have had sexual exposure could be harboring the virus within their genitals. Okay, so that is the history. But if either partners married clean, let me use the word clean. It's not that other partners who married unclean are not right, but it's just situational. But if either partners married clean, there's no way with which they would have been infected.
Okay, and they still committed to each other.
And they still committed to each other.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Talking about that, before I continue, let me quickly drop my own because the calls are and the messages. Let's begin the conversation on treatment.
Okay.
We'll come to the women.
Yeah.
But let's talk about men who can also be the carriers of this HPV, right?
Yeah.
Can men get treated for it?
Okay. So, men harbor the disease. That's number one. So, whether you are a trans man or a trans whatever, you have a genital, you have a penile organ, you harbor the disease. Right. Now, you harbor the disease, men could come down with penile cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's all right.
Okay. So that man could come down with penile cancer. Right. So, and that can be treated depending on the stage of presentation.
Okay.
Now, this HPV we're talking about is responsible for cervical cancer, penile cancer, anal cancer, and head and neck cancer. And you can connect the sexual activity around this. Those who have alternate sexual habits will go through the back.
Right.
And that could be the cause. So treatment for the man will start from one, vaccine. So a male child can be protected with a vaccine. Okay. Now, beyond that, then that will now be counseling, modification of lifestyle, and staying safe for the man.
Talking about the male child, the same age range.
Yes, the same age range.
Okay.
The same age range. So you can have the female version of the vaccine and can be vaccinated to keep them safe.
Okay.
But because the male doesn't have a cervix, so we cannot talk about treatment as we'll talk about treatment for the female.
For the female, yeah. All right, interesting. I'm just hearing a few things for the very first time this morning. Let me jump on this call. Good morning to you. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sheridan.
Good morning to you.
Yes, you have Samuel on the line.
Welcome,
and
Samuel.
good morning to your guest. Now, number one, I want to ask your guest because if I could hear, I jump at you when we were talking about fascinating a girl child at the age of maybe 9 or 10. 9 to 12.
9 to 12, yes.
Yes, and I can remember my child did that. As that, number one, primarily, exonerated her or kept her safe for whatever reasons, having obeyed all posts.
All other
reasons
risk factors.
You understand? That's number one. Then number two, he also talked about this sperm test that women does. I remember my wife too. We have an annual. Thank you very much. That we have our annual routine medical, which out of it, those sperm smear things that are part of it, and it's been quite okay.
Brilliant.
Then lastly, yes. Then lastly, I want to ask, what about people that have? I'm talking about the polygamists now.
Okay.
Because if I may ask,
that's a good question.
This kind of this kind of topic now actually boils down to any sex-related issue. If I may ask, you understand? So how do they contain that? And this is the reason why many women detest.
Thank you.
That kind of.
Thank
thing.
you.
There are no any other means apart from that.
Questions understood. First is his child safe?
Yes, your child is safe. So far, she's been vaccinated and vaccinated properly. She's safe. But being safe doesn't mean that she should not expose herself to any unwarranted risk. Okay? No, so the fact that Lagos has made protection and security top priority, I now leave my door open. It doesn't work like that. Your child is safe being vaccinated, but she should still maintain and keep herself so that she's not she's not at risk. That's your first question. Your second question has to do with the pap smear. Yes, the pap smear is good. You can do the pap smear. However, with increase in technology, increase in science and research, there are other modes of screening that will give you a higher positive than what you have in a pap smear. That is the liquid-based cytology test, the HPV DNA testing. Now, your third question is this. Now, statistically, it's been proven that those who have multiple partners are at risk. And even with the social history and the sexual history, being a second wife or a third wife of a man who has 3 or 4 wives usually plays out in our clinic, plays out in our scenario. So polygamy is an issue, right? Because when the man is not guarded with his relationship. Now, of course, you know that those who are polygamists, I'm not saying all of them, but some who are polygamists, aside from the registered, they are the unregistered, who he still plays around with. So it makes all of the women, and even
I like the way you put that. The registered and the unregistered.
it makes all the women and those who, he himself to be at risk, right, of the infection. And I think that unguarded sexual exposure is really at the bottom line in most low and medium income countries like Nigeria. I hope I've answered this question.
I hope you have. Let me take this question on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM on YouTube. You can watch us live there and drop your comment or your question. Everest on YouTube says, I'd like to ask, is HPV advisable to be given, you mean the vaccine, Abby? It's to be given to married women who are already exposed to sex with one partner. A friend died shortly after taking this vaccine without prior medical issues.
Okay, so that statement is not proven. Okay. The vaccine itself is not a danger. However, that friend may have other medical conditions that he is not privy to, or that may not be exposed. Right. So medical conditions could be in an individual who may be there salient, right? So anything could have brought up, that could have been a coincidental event, but it's not proven.
It's not the vaccine.
It's not the vaccine at all.
It's not likely to be.
It's not likely. It's most unlikely to be. However, we have said that taking the vaccine after sexual exposure does not confer any protection.
Yes, you have.
On the individual. And I've also said that 90% of infection clears out in 5 years. However, depending on now the risk stratification of the individual, it will now determine which disease will progress from the pre-invasive stage to the invasive stage.
Indeed. Let me take this call right here. Good morning to you.
Hello, Mr. Sheriff.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Doctor, morning, sir.
Morning to you, sir.
My name is Robert, and I am calling you from Apapa. Doctor, they say work without play make Jack a dull boy. Sometimes some of us who are in our youth or middle, when we work from Monday to Friday, in the weekend, maybe we'll go to some place to cool off with our friends. And when you are sitting there, doctor, you will see guys coming out with their girlfriend to a brothel to do, I don't know, but they are in their numbers. You understand? So I don't know, maybe they are not aware of this HIV and what HPV. Is the awareness? Yes, what is the awareness that people should abstain from this thing? Doctor, you understand? Because
thank you, Robert. Thank you so much.
No, sorry, please. I want to ask that doctor something.
Oh yeah, now ask please. Now. You spent the entire time.
When this AIDS came up, everybody was afraid. You can see it. If somebody lean, you say this person has HIV. But now, people are not afraid of the something again. Why is it like that? Thank you very much.
Thank you too for calling me. Doc, let me quickly throw in this question here. Yemi said, what can a woman who has been sexually exposed to 2 men in her entire history do to rule out cervical cancer?
The 2 men that she's been exposed to, have they also been exposed to her exclusively? So these are the issues. These are the gray areas, when we're discussing this topic. Yeah. Because the 2 men, she only knows that she's been exposed to 2 men. She doesn't know how many ladies the men have been exposed to, right? So for her, I would just advise that she goes for a regular medical screening, regular liquid cytology HPV screening. That's the only way with which she can know if she's at risk or not.
For sure.
So if she does serial screening every 3 to 5 years and she's negative, then she now stays clean. Right, but if for any reason she's positive, then she needs to pay close attention her gynae health.
Indeed. Kemi is here. Kemi says, I took the vaccine after some cryotherapy treatments after having 2 kids. Does it mean that the vaccine is not beneficial to me at this point?
So it depends on, after having 2 kids, have yourself and your partner have you been working on a line? If you've been working on a line, then yes, it could be beneficial. But if either you or your partner have not worked on a straight line, then the efficiency or the efficacy of that vaccine may not be 100%.
Oh, okay. All right. If he wants you to talk about thyroid, we'll find another day to do that. My question to the doctor is, can cervical cancer still affect postmenopausal women, and can they take the vaccine?
Okay, so most of our patients, over 50% of our patients are postmenopausal. And you could understand that if they got married at 25, 30, and by 50, they've been married for quite a number of years, then, it could affect them. So the answer to your question is yes, it could affect most menopausal women. And indeed, I think I've said that most of our patients are postmenopausal anyways.
Oh, okay. All right.
So treatment for the female, we must not forget that.
We can't forget it.
So treatment for the female would depend on what stage at the disease we're catching it. Sometimes cryotherapy, cone biopsy, and all of these less invasive procedures are very, very good at very early stages. Okay. So we have 3 modes of treatment basically. We have surgery, we have chemoradiation, which we can have that at Luth. There's a cancer treatment center at Luth. You can have that. Then chemotherapy, is also a mode of treatment. So the less invasive treatment modalities are for the very early stages, right? For the pre-invasive stage, usually like a CRN3, you can do something that is less invasive, and a stage 1B, 1A, 1A1, 1A2, right? You could do any of the less invasive surgeries, for those, right? But by the time it's beginning to get to, as the stage progresses, then you need to have surgery. You could either do a simple hysterectomy, or you could do a radical hysterectomy, depending, Then as from stage 1B, 2, then you need to have chemoradiation. Chemoradiation is a combination of radiotherapy with chemotherapy, which we can have in Luth, right, to treat the disease. Now, as the disease advances, then you might need to do something more systemic. That is where chemotherapy comes in, which is a systemic administration of molecules to help control the disease. Then you can also do radiotherapy, which could be palliative. Then another very interesting or important mode of treatment is the brachytherapy. Brachytherapy is where you place the radiotherapy sources very close to the tumor, and that can also be done. Actually, it's a complement treatment to external beam radiotherapy, which are all both radiotherapy and can be used in controlling the disease.
Now, finally, this question may sound very weird though, but I need to ask, especially for the Gen Zs out there, how early can someone get to that stage where you will begin to talk about radio, chemo? Because lately, Dr. Ajay, you deal with cancer patients a lot. You can attest to the fact that young people now present with these diseases, unlike before where, these things are considered old age problem and everything. How early is this cervical cancer? Can it become really, really troubling?
In the mid-20s.
Mid-20s?
Yeah. In the mid-20s. However, depending on the risk of the person, and this is where I have to make a passionate call to our Gen Z brothers and sisters. Caution is still very, very important. It might look like, an old people's tale. And when we say that you should keep yourself till it's right, this is one of the instances where it really comes to play, right? And the choice of people who you move around with.
Yeah.
The Baba was talking about the beer parlor, all work and no play. But there are reasonable plays that you can play that can keep you safe and keep your loved ones safe. Right. So it could be very early. It could be I've had patients who are in their mid-20s and older, but it's something that we need to pay extra attention to.
Dr. J, quickly share your social media handles for those who would like to ask you further questions.
Okay. I'm the Nigerian Oncologist on Instagram and TikTok. Then my social media handle is Eben Adepitan at Eben Adepitan, right? And Instagram and also in Facebook.
Dr. Eben Adepitan, Ajay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Zainab Yakin produced this show. Abatunde Absalam made sure that you could watch us on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm Sheriff Quadry. We're done for this morning. Daily Digest with Jimmy Disu is next. Morning to you.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this.
So, my pregnant wife, Eniola, had her cravings and nothing satisfied her.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.